Beloved Creator, thank you for this new day and for bringing us together. And we ask that our numbers be strengthened and our messages heard as we go into this week of activities. We acknowledge the importance of keeping our connection to you active as we go about our duties. Thank you for this new day and for your guidance in creative ways to address the issues at hand, important issues with your help needed. And so it is.
Hello, I'm the old white man with an addendum to Article 3, our Civilian Common Law Court of Record. When I was trying to find an Article 3 court to file in where we could get remedy, I looked a lot of places, and a woman out in Eastern Oregon, Jules, she said, "Have you ever looked up Mookini 303?" And that's Mookini 303. When you look up Mookini 303, you find that they played a game with us. They said that any court whose name began with the United States could not be, by definition, an Article 3 court. That's what they said. And then they renamed all of the courts United States Court of, and whatever it was. But every one of them, their name began with United States. Therefore, it could not be an Article 3 court. It could only be something else. That's incredible, because in my search, I found out that the U.S. Court of International Trade, New York, New York, is an Article 3 court. And I did snail mail with them also. And their court answered responsibly. They are an Article 3 court, but they will not claim original jurisdiction unless it's an international case. And they did not recognize Oregon as being international, and they would not accept an Article 3 case. They're only there so they can adjudicate in admiralty and maritime as required in international trade. They won't do anything else. They do not have that jurisdiction. The only Article 3 jurisdiction can be found, it's in Amendment 7. I yield. Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I want to share what I want to talk about. We have an Article 3, Amendment 7, Civilian Common Law Court of Record on Oregon. It is quite unique. And here's Article 3. Ray and I went down to the United States District Court, Federal District Court in the Marco Hatfield Federal Building, and we're speaking to two clerks one day, and what they said turned out to be very true, and I didn't know it until they told me. They said, our court is not an Article 3 court. We have Article 3 judges, but we're not an Article 3 court. Therefore, they couldn't meet the requirements of what I'm going to read right now. But they pretended they could and tried people in that court and still are today. So, Article 3, the judicial power of the United States. The United States is identified in Oregon revised statutes as that piece of dirt no more than a 10-mile square and what's left of it, called Washington District of Columbia, forts, ports, and needful buildings. That's where the United States is, and that's where this judicial power issues from. Shall be vested in one Supreme Court, small o, small s, capital C. So, from that, it says someplace there is one Supreme Court, and that all power from the United States shall be vested in it. And in such inferior courts as Congress may from time to time ordain and establish, the judges both of the Supreme and inferior courts. So now we know there are several Supreme Courts and several inferior courts because they have multiple judges, shall hold their office during good behavior. So if they have bad behavior, they cannot hold the office, and shall, at stated times, receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. That's reasonable. Section 2, the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity. So now you have to look up what is law and what is equity, and you have to look that up in Bouvier Law Dictionary 1856. That's the only place you can look this information up and be assured that the definition is correct. Arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States. Now remember where the United States is. There are no more United States lands on the continent of North America. None of those lands belong to the United States. The United States had a lot of land when it was just Oregon and California on this coast. They had a lot of land. That land is no longer territories. That land is now states. Therefore, they don't have any. Or which shall be made under their authority. They don't have any authority on the continental United States, except in forts, ports, and needful buildings. In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty, we're not in admiralty, and maritime jurisdiction, that's not us, to controversies to which the United States shall be party, we know where the United States is, to the controversies between two or more states, we understand that one too. Now we have to define states. I guess it's time. There have been no new states since Oregon. Oregon was the 33rd and final state. They haven't made any new states. So all of those states you thought were states are still territories. And the United States has jurisdiction over them. All of their states' rights don't exist because they're still territories. Washington, Idaho, Nevada, etc. We have to treat them as states, but they're not. They're not original jurisdiction. Then it says treaties. I made a real study of treaties when I was studying up on Oregon law, and I cannot find one legitimate treaty. They always left them in such a way that they were really not a treaty. They were color of treaty, or which shall be made. And I don't think they've made a decent one yet. None of the Indians were. Hawaii definitely wasn't. The real reason for Alaska and settling with all of the tribes. Now, so now we're down here to between a state and citizens of another state. Okay. Between cases of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states. Now we have to identify citizens. Same dictionary again. You have to know who you're talking about. Then, between a state or citizens thereof, a state, not state of Oregon, but a state, one of the several states, that jurisdiction, or the citizens thereof, and foreign states. Oregon's definitely foreign to the United States, and citizens are subjects. Okay. In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, and those in which a state shall be a party, the Supreme Court. Now, they don't say one Supreme Court here. They say the Supreme Court with the lowercase s shall have original jurisdiction. Okay. That's a particular court, and it has original jurisdiction. In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction. Okay. In all other cases. So when I was searching for an Article 3 court, I looked for 18 months. One of the places I looked for an Article 3 court was within the Supreme Court, that physical structure. I identified it in a letter, and I mailed a snail mail letter to the Article 3 court located within the building that houses the Supreme Court of the United States, or SCOTUS. I heard it was on the second floor, but I don't know. But that's who I'm addressing the envelope to. And it was all properly addressed, and it was delivered. And I got an answer back from a certain person who had the authority to write letters for the clerk of that court. And he said, "We are not an Article 3 court. There's no Article 3 court here." So that court cannot make a decision on a man, because that court can only deal with the United States, forts, ports, and needful buildings, and their territories. So then we come on down here, and it says they have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact. Now we have two different things. We have law and fact. The other place we find fact is in Amendment 7, cases in common law. I got a copy right here, I believe. And it's a short one. I should be better prepared. Here we go. This is the amendment that goes with Article 3. In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States, we know where the United States is, than according to the rules of the common law. And this is for fact, this court, in common law. Now, I was told by a bar attorney of some influence that, yeah, Amendment 7, but that's only good in civil because that's all common law is good for. Well, you can find dictionaries that say that. However, the Bouvier Law Dictionary 1856 defines cases in common law specifically, and it includes criminal. So, in cases affecting ambassadors, if we were in their jurisdiction from Oregon, we would definitely be ambassadors. Then it says the trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trials shall be held in the state where the said crime shall have been committed. Oh, so now we have to have one of those superior courts here on Oregon if we're going to have a trial where a man or a woman with our progeny can find remedy, and that's only in Article 3. So then we come to Section 3. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. Congress shall have the power to declare punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall corrupt the blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attainted. So that's what we're dealing with. We have the one Supreme Court on Oregon that has claimed original jurisdiction. We've implemented Ex parte Milligan, and studied up on that. And we've presented all of these facts, and we know how to make a fact, right? You make a fact with living testimony in the form of an affidavit of truth, like our LTA, stating what is and is not. And you sign it, and you have two witnesses with the jurat. And you wait 30 days, and you have a fact, provided you notified and have proof of service, which we did. So we make the facts. The fact has been made. We are in Article 3, Amendment 7, Civilian Common Law Court of Record, with sole jurisdiction on Oregon, the one Supreme Court claiming original jurisdiction. Article 7, original. That group. The Provisional Government on Oregon, Article 1, Section 1. And I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, to shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.